Welcome to part 3 of Mind Control, from Sigmund Freud to MKUltra. And we left off talking about what actual bipolar disorder is. It's a period of racing thoughts, flight of ideas, delusions of grandeur, lack of sleep, euphoria, and sometimes delusions, which then it would be called with psychosis. What happens when the person goes into the psych ward for a bipolar disorder diagnosis? There's never a point during their hospitalization nor afterwards where they try to find the root cause. Rather, what they try to do is mask the symptoms. They use medicine to make the person docile and give up and quiet, so they just deal with it. And then what they introduce is two forms of therapy, they call it, called CBT and DBT, cognitive behavior therapy and dialectic behavior therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy basically tells you with your cognition to just look at your life as if they're not problems, they're sort of opportunities. I mean, that's in a nutshell. Dialectic behavior therapy, and I don't really know the differences. I've had them both. I don't really know. It's basically, again, it's using your words and changing that. Both of them say that you are the problem. Through my research and talking to several people who have experienced so-called mania and psychosis, there's a third party vector, I call it. There's a third person that is there that gets in the way, like the person is trying to work something out with somebody and a third person keeps getting in the way, as if like an abusive relationship or a controlling relationship with that person. That person seeks to medicalize the person. They'll exacerbate the symptoms, and then because they're on the side of the psychiatrist, they get the person, oh, take the meds, go to the doctor, get out of here, because that person is causing the problems. Now, therapy should be able to isolate that person and then teach the person how to deal with it. For instance, it might be a family member, it might be somebody you depend on financially and you can't get away from. And what therapy is doing is pushing you into the box so you just shut up and deal with it. Rather than say, oh, okay, I see that person, for whatever reason, they're manipulating you. It's causing you agitation because you're trying to get on with your life. They're interfering. They never, ever consider that. And the thing is, by design, through the MKUltra experiments, they learned how to get the person to stop talking about where they actually see the problems. Because let's say you're in a job. Let's go with depression. You're in a job. You're under the fluorescent lights. You're staring at a screen. Your boss is hates you, is an asshole. You don't have money for a family. You don't have time to find a family or start one. You're just looking at, hey, this is what I do every day till I die. I work overtime. I work weekends. I have to answer my phone at night. This is my life. I'm essentially a wage slave. They don't want you talking about that, because then you'll go to somebody else and they'll be like, yeah, I'm the same way. And what happens is you create a consciousness, like a class consciousness is what that is, and say, you know what, we all kind of feel like this, like, let's change it. Like, hey, maybe the answer is we start a business, or maybe we go, like, whatever, something that doesn't give the state our endless tax money so they can go spend it on whatever they do, and they can control us and they can tell us what to do. I mean, the thing about people in power, control is addicting to them. It's not enough to be at the top. They have to keep going up and up. It's just the nature of it. It's an addiction. So instead, what do? You go to a therapist. You don't talk to the therapist. You don't tell people about what you talk about with the therapist. First of all, the therapist tells you, oh, it's your fault. And it's embarrassing, so you don't talk about it. So basically, we don't form class consciousness. The 3 to 4% who could revolutionize don't have an audience because we're all divided. And, the steps to divide and conquer: first you divide, then you conquer. Well, also, the devil divides. The root of the word devil is to divide. And so the devil divides God's children and then can get us into vice, get us into sin. Go on Reddit and look how many vices are there. From, like, atheists took over Reddit, and now there's, like, it's all kink, like there's all talk about sex and everything. It used to be a place where you went to learn how to do something. And there's a meme where it's like, oh, let me figure out how to update my phone the right way, and next thing you know, you're in, I don't know, you're in some kink, and that's what happens now on Reddit. Like, the devil divided the people up, got them individualized, and then they're able to is able to tempt you, get you into temptation. As a herd, we keep each other sane. We keep each other balanced. That's one of the things about a society is you're supposed to use social pressure. That's where like we're finding out that the bullies, we always said the bullying, they say stopped bullying. Well, they stopped bullying and now kids are chopping their bits off, thinking like, hey, I'm a woman. And like, like that's what started happening. Whereas that would have been bullied out of you in the 90s. So, I mean, I don't want to take this up talking about CBT and DBT. Just look them up and they're wordy things. All I know is I've been the subject to them and they're nonsense. They're complete bullshit. They don't help you at all. And so today we're looking at 50% of young liberal women, according to a survey, have been told that they have a mental health issue. And only 20% of conservatives, which is still a lot. This is a crisis. So what you're looking at is why would half of all young liberal women are told they're mentally ill? Well, let's think of why. One of the things that happened was to divide people, especially the white race. Like white Christians resist communism, they resist tyranny. And the reason is it's simple. Jesus told Pilate that there's a power above Caesar, and that's God. And Pilate said, but I can kill you and I can have you killed. And Jesus said, well, you can't do anything my Father doesn't allow. So the Christians do not look at the state as the utmost power. To an atheist, that's why communists are always atheists, because the state is the utmost power. They don't want you directed by God. So in order to bring in global tyranny, which is what the WEF is trying to do, the globalists, it's not called communism, but it's communism, whatever. Communism by a different name. You will own nothing and be happy. That's communism. They needed an attack vector to attack Christian white males because they were the dominant force. Well, what they did is they started feeding feminism a century ago into women and saying, oh, you're equal to men. You're just like men. Well, it's interesting because like for the jobs with authority or the jobs people wanted, they wanted equality, but nobody complains that there's not equality in the plumbing field or that 90% of job-related injuries are men. There's no equality there. There's no crying that in universities now 2/3 of universities, so twice as many women as men are going to colleges and universities, 2/3, and there's still scholarships for women to make equality. So this was all a lie. But let's fast forward to today, after a century of wanting equality. Women vote, their number one issue, the number one reason why they vote with the Democrats is to off their offspring, is to say, well, I get pregnant, I can kill it. You go back a century ago, no woman would have said that. I mean, maybe a few of them. Only 20% of women at the start of feminism wanted to work outside the home. It was the woman's dream to have the husband go provide while they raise the family. I don't know what kind of psyop, how you were able to do such a psyop to convince so many women that they would rather slave for a boss at a corporations for some mid-level marketing manager job under the fluorescent lights and empty meetings all the time and listening to your phone rather than nurturing your own children. But it worked. But now the women are depressed because jobs suck. Like work is not fun. There are not many jobs where like you might be lucky and find a fulfilling job, but work is not fun. If you had the choice between saying, hey, I'm just going to stay here and raise kids and we're going to watch TV together, we're going to go exercise in the yard, we're going to paint, we're going to draw, we're going to play music, I'm going to teach them some things. That's way better than sitting there doing TPS reports for some faceless boss who doesn't care the little slightest bit about you. But they were able to do that. They were able to divide. And now, instead of women saying, oh my God, I'm depressed, they're feeding them with meds because the natural reaction is to preserve our species, is to propagate the species. We've been doing it since whenever we started. If not, we would have gone extinct. And we're facing genocide now as a race, the white race. We're not making babies. And instead, the liberals are bringing in people who hate us. And it's like, women can't walk safely down the street in Germany nowadays, and the liberals still don't, like, it's cognitive dissonance. And in order to keep them there, they mind control them with drugs. This was developed under MKULTRA. What drugs to give them, what to tell them, what are the intervals, what are the dosages, which drugs should we use? This is how they're maintaining mind control to get us to go against our own nature, which is to thrive, seek comfort, and preserve our species and seek joy. Instead, we're left with a bunch of like empty promises and depression everywhere. So, and that's my time for the third, so stay tuned for the fourth. we'll talk about how Reddit used to help people who were studying with this, and then now the censors, they blocked all that. So have a good day.